What crazy ass story do you need to tell? The tale of the mythical ass squash. I had a job cleaning hotel rooms once. On my third day, I was still shadowing, and my coworker and I were on our last room, the king suite. We walk in and everything looks normal, just a little messy, probably 10 beer bottles lying around, a squash on the counter, pizza boxes, etc. As soon as we open the closet by the door, one of the nastiest stenches I've ever smelled slapped me right in the face, and I look up to see a brown sheet balled up. The sheets were supposed to be white. My coworker handled that, while I took the easier stuff, giving the beds new sheets, all the while wondering if there would be shit in them. Vacuuming, cleaning counters. Once she had moved on to scrubbing the linoleum kitchen floor, she remarked that the guests must have spilled something because the floor had some weird residue on it. I finished and was waiting on her. We had found some stuff in previous rooms that she had told me we could keep. Half-empty liquor bottles, little trinkets, so long as it wasn't expensive or something they'd come back for. I saw the squash on the counter and thought maybe my mom could decorate with it with fall coming up. So I picked it up with no gloves. No one used those at our hotel, and carried it back to the cart. Well, I felt a weird, almost greasy film on it. I thought maybe it was rotting, so I sniffed it and smelled an all too familiar smell. I walked back into her and said, "This thing has freaking lube on it." It all made sense as soon as I smelled it. The shitty sheet, the beer bottles, the residue on the floor, the lubed up squash. I was scheduled for the next 2 weeks, but I ended up walking out of those automatic doors and never went back. And that, kids, is the story of the mythical ass squash. Late one night, my friends and I decided to go buy some weed. These are some of my nerdier friends. We met playing video games online and we'd play D&D together a lot that summer. So this was a little out of the ordinary for our usual hangout plans. This was also before it was legalized in my state, but I was in high school and we were bored. So the three of us hop in the car and manage to get a hold of my friend's weed guy, a guy he's met like twice, who tells us to meet at a Taco Bell in a town over. So we go, and the Taco Bell is pretty empty at this hour, 10 PM. Suburbia. We get some Taco Bell freezers and wait for the guy. He shows and we very cleanly head to the car, do the exchange, and split. Easy. So weed guy goes in to eat and we bounce. We're excited because we're in high school and this is pretty new to us. So we pull out of the parking lot and my friend merges into the turning lane at the intersection just outside the shopping center at the last second. He forgot we were supposed to turn, so now we are at a 45-degree angle. Half in the turning lane, half not, but it's completely empty, so he decides to just make the left turn, even though the light is red through the intersection. Lights. Sirens. My other friend is swearing at the driver for being such an idiot, and I'm sitting here thinking no way this is happening. We hadn't smoked anything yet, but the weed smell, even in the bag, was potent and I could smell it faintly. My life is flashing before me as we pull over, and the driver quickly hands my other friend the weed. Passenger friend wraps it in a rag and throws it in the glove compartment. As I sit there trying to think our way out of this, from the backseat the cop walks up, shining her flashlight, and she asks the driver if he knows why he was pulled over. Yes, and that it was illegal. Yes. He tells her he thought it was dangerous to be in that position in the intersection and he naively thought it would be fine to turn with no one around that late in the evening. Then out of the blue she looks at us and says, "Your eyes are looking awful red." I think we all collectively shat bricks. Even though we weren't high, this wasn't looking so good. Suddenly, did she know we had just bought weed? I had to think yes, and that she was staking the place out. So she leans in the car and flashes me with her light. "Why are your eyes red? Have you boys been smoking?" No, we all reply. My friend offers to go with her and be blood tested if she really thinks we have been. Skeptical, she pauses for a long while, then returns to her car. We have no idea what's going to happen and why she left abruptly. She comes back and asks us what we are doing in next town when his car is registered to Y City. He hastily describes us going to visit some friends and grabbing some Taco Bell before leaving to go home. This seems to satisfy her, and then she asks for my friend's license and registration. He leans across the center console to open the glove box. The glove box with a huge rag, covered weed bag inside frick. He starts trying to find the registration, fishing around the weed wad, and the cop is standing by the window, flashlight still beaming in on us. I keep waiting for her to ask what's in the rag, or why he doesn't just take it out and find the papers. I know though that, as soon as that bag left the compartment it would start to smell. But my friend is actually doing a great job. It's around here somewhere, playing it super cool while pulling out the wrong papers and returning his hand to fish around. My heart is racing. Finally he finds it. She checks the license, registration, tells us not to do that maneuver ever again, and we go drive off. We were not the type to go and do this shit, so we just nervously laughed our way home. My friend in the passenger seat decided he never wanted to deal with bullshit like that again and got his weed card shortly after. So I almost got arrested for drug possession my first time buying weed with my best nerdy friends, and that was some wild shit for a Thursday night. This is the story of the Oatmeal Man. My high school baseball team was traveling in a school bus from Louisville to Indianapolis for a tournament, and this guy pulls up next to us on the freeway, waving and trying to get our attention. We kinda think it's a parent or something, so we wave back. He makes sure he has mine and my seatmate's attention, and then clips his shirt collar to his steering wheel with some sort of homemade device, leaving a big opening. He then proceeds to grab two 2-gallon buckets of what I only hope was cooked oatmeal, not positive though, and begins pouring all of it into the big opening in his shirt that he's made. Everyone on our bus, including coaches, are screaming in confusion as this man is swerving down the freeway, going into the emergency lane to get around cars so he could stay next to us. Then, he reaches into his shirt, takes a handful, and smears the chunky substance all over his face, all while laughing his ass off and waving. Last but not least, he unhooks his shirt and it snaps to his neck, flinging oatmeal all over his windshield and driver's side window. He then casually waved goodbye, gets off at the next exit, and we never see Oatmeal Man again. It is my favorite thing that has ever happened to me. About 3 years ago, after high school, me and 3 friends went trekking in Iceland. We decided to splurge and treat ourselves to an Airbnb in the city for the weekend. We had been camping all week and ended up in an apartment that was nice, but had some really shady, scary and messed up paintings. There was a locked room that wasn't opened until the last day of our trip, when 2 friends went to return a tent we had borrowed from the host. He wasn't home, but his girlfriend was, and I guess, didn't understand that she shouldn't have left her boyfriend's Nazi Hitler room wide open, especially after hosting 4 Jews. We are talking swastikas, Hitler portraits, books, flags, everything. Somehow the girls managed to take some pictures before running the frick out of there. In the late 80s I was home from college for the summer. I went out partying with friends, got dropped off and home, and went to my room to watch TV. I put on CNN. At night it ran in half-hour segments that would repeat current event news. At the end of the segment, in a summarization of what they just went over, 3 pics would come up on the screen, tiled one after the other. So there I was watching news about Manon Riga, Gorbachev, etc. The last story they do is about drug use and the war on drugs. The reporter wraps it up with some high school project conclusion like, no matter what we think about drugs we have to accept they are prevalent in today's society. As she is talking the camera is on a city scene by a river. I recognize it. The camera zooms in slowly on someone sitting against a tree by the river smoking a bowl. A little ceramic thing with a carb on the end. They inhale, take their finger off the carb, hold it, turn and look directly at the camera, and it's me. The half hour ends. CNN puts up a pic of Gorbachev, then Noriega, then me holding in a hit of smoke. I run downstairs to see if my mom was watching. Then I stay up for 4 hours to make sure I wasn't hallucinating, but they never run the story again. There's a fair chance I'll regret putting this on my main account, but here goes 100% true. I swear to God, the worst shit I've ever taken When I was in the army, a friend and I went out and grabbed some pizza, and it was the best pizza I've ever had, at least until that point. I ate a whole pie by myself. My buddy is supposed to meet up with some girl online who has a friend that is interested in me as well. Things are looking good, but then they say that they can't hang out in town and ask if we can just follow them back to their place because it's only 20 minutes away. We are young and dumb and full of it, so we say yes and start driving into the hollows of Kentucky. About an hour goes by and they pull over. One of the ladies, the one that I was supposed to be paired with, just goes to the back of her truck and pisses for God and all to see. Turns out, it wasn't a deal breaker. All I can think of is that I also need to piss badly. So I get out of my car, get to the back, and try to piss, but I just can't. Like I'm trying, but nothing will come out. I feel like Tom Hanks in The Green Mile. It hurts like it's never hurt before, and after a minute or 5, I get back in the car, defeated. We keep following them another 30 minutes until we get to their house. Their roommate is a fabulous drag queen. A legit one. They were curling a giant beehive wig and trying out a few makeup techniques before a show. At this point, all I can think about is having to piss and also the sudden need to shit. I go into the bathroom and take what I know to be the biggest shit I'll ever take in my life. It's like wet cement and it absolutely fills the bowl several inches above the water line, which was just gone at this point. That's when the piss comes. Apparently, my shit was so massive that it was pinching off my piss tubes when I tried before, and now that the women and children were evacuated, it was time to get to the lifeboats. I just pissed into the massive pile, and it was not unlike when you make the mashed potato volcano and put the gravy lava in it. I did my best to wipe, knowing it would be a Pyrrhic victory, and knowing that if I did flush, their home would be ruined. At this point, I hear a commotion from outside the door, as my friend had apparently started negotiations for a 3-way and the talks had gone sour. I hear "get out of my house" and I realize that we've been given salvation. I go outside, grab my coat, and say "let's go dude, now," and he agrees. We get into my car, start it up, and suddenly their drag queen roommate sprints out of the front door yelling "what the hell did you do to our toilet? Oh my god," and I just peel off into the night laughing my now empty ass off. It was a pretty wild night. You have had an appointment with the soup doggo. It has made nice hot soup for you. Like and subscribe to show your appreciation of the soup.